one of the things that I've been spending a little bit more time on with students, especially this past year, is asking the question, what do we do in the first hour, 2, 3 hours of study? Let's say we get in on Monday, and what's the first thing that you do to create a sermon? So let me suggest a few things, at least a few things of where to start. The first thing is I think it's best to begin the study by discovering what are often referred to as thought blocks in the preaching portion. You've picked a particular portion of text. So one of the first things to do Monday morning is to identify, verses 1 through 3 say this, verses 4 through 5 say this, verses 6 through 8 say this. And just you're looking at the thought blocks, and you are identifying some of the concepts that are being covered in that preaching portion. So we start with that. Let's just get a sense of these thought blocks, where the topic sort of moves down through. Second, then it's a matter of deciding, can we discover how the flow of thought moves? So we start with the first thought block, move to the second one, but what's the transition between the two? What is the author doing moving from one to the other? How does thought flow from one thought block to the next to the next? So we're gathering this sense of how the ideas are being connected in this preaching portion. Then, third, in the first couple hours, start to write the sermon, which basically all that means is that a person begins to sort of restate and also explain the places that need explanation. At least you begin to give a preliminary explanation. So all we're trying to do early on is we've got the thought blocks, we've got the connection logically, the logical flow of thought, but I want to start at the top of that first thought block and begin actually to write the sermon by restating what's being said, but also explaining some of the places that need to be explained. And I find that if you can do that in the first hour or two of the study, you're beginning to write the sermon, or at least the content of the sermon, you're beginning to write that early in the week rather than waiting to the end. It's a way to get started early, and you begin to capture the larger thoughts and how they're connected. And some of the sermon content really is going to stick, because a lot of sermons, actually, if you listen to sermons, what you're hearing is a lot of restatement of what God is saying, and then mixed with explanation, especially the parts that are a little bit harder to understand. You give an initial explanation early on in the study, knowing that you'll have more time, Lord willing, later to flesh that out.